Okay, I'm about ready to measure for cutting out these boxes. Again, I come out at 3/4 and then over to 3.5. And then if you've got to remember what side is up and what side's down so you don't make a mistake and cut the holes backwards. The other measurement was 5 1/4 or 5 3/8, that is, and I'm going to go 5 1/4. Just give me extra room. 9 1/4. There again, it doesn't matter where the lines are. Just make sure they're where you said they were on this. And then the round box was 5 inches over was the center of this direction, and then the downward side. Oh no, excuse me. That's 5 1/4. 5 inches down was the center, and then over was 21 1/4. So 21 1/4. Okay. Now, how you fix that up is you take your 4-foot T-square and we just scribe your line. I'm holding it on the bottom because the bottom is perfectly straight and the top isn't, so that's the only reason I'm doing it that way. You come across here and mark all those lines. See how slick that is? You know right where it's at. And there you have it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use the roto-zip. Got my hearing protection on. This sucker's noisy. And I'm going to cut the box out. You can use a utility knife, bang it out. That's what the other guys do. It's sloppy. This thing is Slick City. It works really good. Center there for the round hole I'm going to cut, and with a roto-zip or with the other ones, they've got this utility here. Okay, I'm going to do the round hole. This little baby here is set for the round holes that I need to cut. If it's a 4-inch hole, you set this thing up at 2 inches, and you know that's your radius, and it cuts a perfect hole for you. And I'll show you. Okay, I told you before I've been doing this for 30 years. What I meant is I've been in construction for over 30 years. I haven't been a drywaller for 30 years, but still I'm pretty good at it. This is a remodel, and nothing is perfect. And so my measurements, they don't come out perfect. It's like the easiest way is if you got one of these tools, you should just cut it out a little more. My round hole doesn't quite fit. Okay, that's pretty good now. It fits right up in there, and we can go ahead and nail it now. Okay, I've got my impact driver that I use in combination with the other one. I mean, I'm just doing this to show you how this tool works. I've got a line mark here, so that's where my joist is. Real Slick City, okay? Now this unit here, there's 2 ways of doing it. Professionals, if you see them on the drywall job, they turn this thing on and leave it on full time, one after another. Just because professionals do it that way doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You probably are not fast enough to keep the machine running all the time. and so you'd probably prefer to just turn it off and turn it on just like you would a drill. But I'll show you what I'm talking about, how the different methods for, like this, like I say, the professionals, they lock it on. Okay, now I'll show you a different method where you can just turn it on one at a time. You can put it on there and just turn it off. Either way works fine. Use one. Okay, now that we've got the ceiling up, it's time to start the walls. Walls are going to go quicker. They're easier than the ceiling. I've marked all these studs. See, here's a stud, and I've got a mark on here. It also helps to be 6'4". You can reach an 8-foot ceiling with no problem. And I marked them all. I've done the same thing on the floor. So when you put the sheetrock up, you know where to guide so that you can do it. Now, you notice that I've been using my screw gun. I've got all screws in here. I also have nails, and I've got my my hammer that I can use here too. But I have not been using it, and I don't plan on using it really, because this is an older remodel. When I say older, the house is about 16 years old, but the wood is dried and it's harder than half. You try to drive a nail into this hard, older wood, invariably the nails bend, or you end up damaging the sheetrock and all that kind of stuff. So screws, it's the only way to go when you're doing older remodel type stuff because the wood's so hard. Okay, we're about ready to nail up the sheetrock here. I've got 8-foot sheetrock up here. A lot of guys use 12-footers, but this is the second story of a 2-story home, and it was like not really possible to put the 12-footers up here, so I got 8-footers. Even though I've got 8-footers, I'm not going to stand it up. I'm going to instead run it horizontal. I'm going to put the top piece first and then put the bottom piece and suck it up tight. It seems opposite, because a handy homeowner normally would think you're either going to stand it or you're going to lay it flat on the bottom lengthwise and put the next one on top of that. But if you do that, you're going to end up with a gap up here invariably, and that's going to be really difficult to tape. You're going to have, but if you put it up full sheet first, it's going to be nice and tight, and the gap will be at the bottom. If you have even a 1-inch gap at the bottom, who cares? Your baseboard's going to cover it anyways. It's no big deal. So, and there's another reason for running it horizontal, by the way. Not that it's not a real important factor, but basically sheetrock adds strength to walls. And when you run it horizontal, that spans and puts that joint at every 8 foot or so, and it causes the wall to be stronger. Whereas if you put them up and down all the time, you've got a weak joint every so often. And there again, it's not a big issue, but overall, it's a good idea to run horizontal all the time. Makes it easier for your taping too, because if you're running a butt joint from 8 foot down to the floor, unless you're 7.5 feet tall or something, you're going to have a difficult time running that in one fell swoop. Whereas if they're running horizontal, it's real easy to come through and tape that 4-foot joint across there, and then when you're up on your stilts or if you're on a ladder or whatever, you can do that 4-foot joint here, and you don't have to worry about the bottom part, because the bottom part you're going to get when you're on the floor. So that's another reason to run it horizontally.